Hi everybody, this is a very quick video to show you how to take through Design Space the bundle of 16 SVG files that you get to make these lovely strong envelopes. They all come in the same width, which is the maximum we can cut for this design of envelope anyway on our 12-inch machines, but you get 8 different lengths in 2 styles. So you get this style of envelope which has a tear strip closure, like this, where you can see you've got perforations. You'd stick your tape or your glue on that, fold it over, and then the person who gets it can tear that strip off to get at what's inside. And the nice thing about these envelopes is they're lovely and strong, and you can actually put something bulky-ish. You could maybe send a pen or a key ring or something that doesn't lie flat in a normal envelope. And if you cut them out of something fairly strong, then you could even mail them, I think. So you get 8 lengths in an envelope with that kind of closure, and then you get 8 in just a regular flap closure as well. Same style in every other regard, widths and lengths, but just with a regular flap closure. Okay, so let's go to Design Space and bring one in. So this is the 140 wide by 220 long. That's the finished size of it. This one, I'm pretty sure, will fit. Yeah, this will cut on 12 by 12. You get a PDF of instructions as part of your download, and that tells you the paper sizes you need for each of the envelopes when they come in. But generally speaking, for the regular flap ones, the shortest 5, so from this one down to this one, they will cut from 12 by 12 on the standard mat. The longest 3, so these 3 here, you're going to need A3 and a long mat to make those, and they are too wide for ledger or tabloid. So if you can't get A3 in your country, you're going to need 12 by 24 to cut those. You can, of course, reduce them down and you would end up with a slightly narrower envelope, and that's why I've done so many lengths, so that really you've got quite a lot of versatility with these envelopes. If you wanted to say send something like a pen or a very slim box with a piece of jewellery in it, you could maybe choose one of the longer ones, but then reduce it down so it's wide enough to cut on your mat, and that way you would end up with a narrower envelope that you could fit on maybe a ledger or tabloid, but it would still be a nice long envelope. You'd be able to play around with them and see what you end up with, but that was my thinking when I discovered that this style of envelope, my maximum width was 140. That's why I've done so many lengths, so that you've got that option to reduce or enlarge and hopefully end up with an envelope size that you like the look of. Right, so as usual, the first thing to do when you bring a cut file SVG with score lines into Design Space is you've got to convert those lines that come in as cuts, but we want to be scores. We designers cannot make them come in as scores anymore. Hopefully that's something that will change in the future. But for now, that's just a little job you need to do first. So you select it in the layers panel, and with my SVGs, whether it's a group or a single set, as it is in this case, it always lives in that second line down in your layers panel, so it's dead quick to select. So you just click on it to select it, go to your operations menu, choose score, and you can see that that's been converted now because it's all become dashed, and then you just select everything on screen any way you want to do it. You can drag a box like I did, or you can click on the group, or you can use the select all button. Either way you do it, once everything's selected, just click attach. And then when you send it to make it, everything ends up on the same mat. And yeah, this one will cut from 12 by 12. Okay, so that's a regular flap envelope that fits on 12 by 12. I'm not going to cut it, so I'll just get rid of it. And now we'll bring in a long one that's got the tear strip. Yep, so again, you're going to get your finished size of 140 if you cut it at the size you bring it in. And again, we need to do that converting the score lines thing. So we click on that second line down, go to your operations menu, choose score, and there it is selected. It's become dashed. I just want to have a chat about these. All the tear strip envelopes I've set up with two cuts here. They're not with your perforation tool, by the way. I tried it with my perforation tool and it didn't work. I didn't like the length of the cuts and I just couldn't get them to go deep enough with the pressure I could choose. So I have stuck to creating these strips with just cuts. So you don't need any special tools to make these envelopes. I think that's probably better for most people anyway. But rather than those just being one set of lines, I've cloned it so you've got two sets of lines there. Now, if you're making your envelopes from something incredibly strong, oh, it's all very well this huge mouse pointer, but it's useless in terms of actually making it do anything. Right, these groups here in the layers panel, you've got your cut piece obviously, and you've got your score lines, which we've just looked at. So these are the two things these are the cuts. If I click on one, you can see it selects one set, and I'll click on the bottom one, and you can see it selects in the same place. What I'm trying to say is I've created these, like I've cloned them to make sure you get a nice deep cut. You want to end up, when you've cut it, with a piece that looks like this. You can see through it. If you can only just tell that there are cuts, it won't tear properly. So you need to be able to see daylight through those cuts you make to make sure that the tear strip works for the person you actually send it to. So my advice would be, whatever you're cutting it from, just leave it exactly as I've made it. But if you don't want to, if you only want one set of scores, then all you would do is go to one of these groups, and you can see, if I just zoom in, you can see that it looks heavier than this. And if I just delete one of those groups, actually it looks the same. I thought it would look different, but it doesn't. So, but as I said, my advice would be to leave that exactly as I've made it. And so all you would do again is you'd select everything and attach it so that everything happens on the same mat. And this one, let me have a look. Ah, right, yeah. I'm glad that happened actually. So, like we could choose 12 by 12 for the shorter envelope. Well, these will cut from A3, but we can't choose A3 because Design Space really thinks that, I'll just go back, a cutting width of 29.1 won't fit on A3, but of course it will. This is 291 millimeters, A3 is 297. So we've got 6 millimeters, quarter of an inch to play with, and that's quite a lot really. So all you're going to do is you're going to click Make It. You've no choice but to use the longer mats for these bigger envelopes, so just don't worry about what you're choosing here. You're going to use the long mat, you're going to use a piece of A3 if that's what you've got in the country that you're cutting this, and you're just going to position your A3 paper 2 or 3 millimeters away from this very first white line on your cutting mat, and then that way you'll have a little bit more to play with at this side, and this will cut beautifully from a sheet of A3. If you can't get A3 and you're using 12 by 24, you're covered anyway because you'll just choose that from your materials and you're good to go. Right, I don't really think I need to show you anything else. The long envelopes all behave just like this one has. The shorter envelopes all behave like the one that cuts from 12 by 12. My advice would be to leave these perforation cuts exactly as I've got them. I cut most of my envelopes on my maker and I used the poster board setting, which meant that I got 4 cuts for each of my perforations, and I think that's why they look so lovely. They look so sharp and they tear beautifully as well. So my advice would be to leave the SVG exactly as it is. But again, if you don't want it, you're just going to go to a group there and you're going to hide it. For some reason, it's not letting me. I think it's because I'm using this ridiculously big, it's like a foam finger, isn't it, the mouse when it's this size? But I do it so you can see where I'm going. Yeah, well, hey, it's done it. You would just click on that little eye symbol there till the eye symbol disappears, and then you'd only have one set. So if you were cutting that then on poster board, it would cut around the outsides twice, and it would also cut these perfs twice. I don't think that's enough. But you can see how it works for you when you come to do it. And if you want to just put that back on. Oh, that was quick, wasn't it? There. Okay, if you've got any questions when you come to make these, cut them or assemble them, don't hesitate to get in touch. The links to do that are in the description below. You can contact me on Facebook or Etsy, whichever you prefer. And if you've just stumbled across this video and you'd like to buy the SVG, the link to do that is also in the description below. Thanks a lot. Bye.